All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to tackle what so many students see as the toughest part of the Cambridge B2 First Speaking Exam, Part 3, the collaborative task. We're going to break it all down and give you a complete blueprint for success. So, does the idea of a spontaneous, graded conversation with a partner you literally just met, does that sound a little intimidating? Well, you are definitely not alone. This part is designed to test how well you interact, and that can feel super unpredictable. But don't worry, by the end of this, you're going to have a rock-solid strategy. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what the challenge actually is. Then we'll walk through the structure and a winning strategy. After that, we'll cover the essential language you'll need, point out some common mistakes, and finish up by looking at exactly what the examiners are listening for. Okay, so what is the core of this challenge? The single most important thing to get in your head is that this is not a speech. It's a test of your ability to have a real, flowing, back and forth conversation. So, what does that mean officially? Well, you and a partner get a central question with 5 different ideas or prompts around it. Your job is to discuss these ideas, explain your opinions, react to what your partner says, and work your way towards a decision together. The key word there is collaboration. You know, a really great way to picture it is like a verbal tennis match. You don't just whack the ball over the net and walk off, right? No, you hit it and then you get ready for your partner to hit it back. The goal is to have a good, balanced rally, not just one person serving aces. Knowing the exact structure and the timing is your first step to feeling in control. Seriously, think of it like the map for your conversation. Once you know it, you can navigate it with total confidence. The whole task is split into 2 super clear parts. First, you get 2 minutes for a general discussion about the prompts, just talking about the ideas. Then, the examiner will stop you and ask a second question, and that kicks off a 1-minute rapid-fire decision-making phase where you have to negotiate and choose the best option with your partner. So the whole thing is over in about 3 to 4 minutes. That's it. It goes by in a flash, which means every single second counts. You've got to be efficient, you've got to be focused, and you have to be interactive from the moment you start talking. The examiner will hand you a piece of paper that looks kind of like this spiderweb diagram. You'll see a question in the middle with 5 prompts connected to it. These are basically your conversation starters, your jumping off points. Okay, now for the good stuff, the actual strategy. Passing this part of the exam has less to do with having the right answers and everything to do with being a great conversational partner. It's all about teamwork. This might just be the most valuable phrase you'll learn today. Seriously. Instead of that awkward silence at the start, you can take control, but politely. Asking, should I go first or would you like to? Instantly shows the examiner that you're confident, you're collaborative, and you're ready to go. The key here is all about balance. Take turns speaking, for sure, but also listen actively while your partner is talking. Nod, make little sounds like, or yeah. And here's the golden rule. Always ask them what they think. Don't just throw your opinion out there, develop it with a reason, and then, this is crucial, link it back to what your partner just said. Right, let's talk about the actual words you're going to use. To get a high score, you have to show off a B2 range of language. That means moving beyond the simple stuff and using more sophisticated phrases to manage the conversation. Okay, check this out. Instead of just saying, I agree, which is a bit basic, you can really elevate it, saying something like, that's a great point, especially because, well, that does 2 amazing things at once. It shows you agree, and you're adding a reason. This is exactly what examiners want to hear. You're developing the conversation. Think of these phrases as your linguistic toolkit. You should practice these until they feel natural. For suggesting something, maybe, shall we start with? For agreeing, I couldn't agree more. And for disagreeing politely, which, by the way, is a fantastic way to create a real discussion, try, I see your point, but. Having these ready to go will make you sound so much more fluent. So we've covered a lot of what you should do. But honestly, knowing what not to do is just as important. Let's look at the common traps that students fall into all the time. So here are the big no-nos. First, dominating the conversation. Remember, it's not a monologue. Second, just stating your opinion without explaining why you think that. You also have to avoid ignoring what your partner says, and try to keep your examples a bit general so your partner can join in. And finally, use your voice. A flat, bored tone is a real killer. Okay, time for a quick myth-busting quiz. Number 1, you have to discuss all 5 prompts. That is False. It's much better to discuss 2 or 3 in detail than to rush through all 5. Number 2, you must reach an agreement in the final minute. Also false. The goal is to see you negotiate. You're not penalized for having different opinions. And number 3, the examiner can ask you questions. False again. It's just you and your partner.
So we've covered the what and the how. Let's finish up by looking at the why. Understanding the assessment criteria really ties all this advice together and shows you exactly how you're going to be scored.
There are 4 main areas they're focused on. First is grammar and vocabulary. Are you using varied B2 level language? Second is discourse management. How well do you connect and build on ideas? Third, pronunciation. Not your accent, but your clarity and using intonation to sound engaged. And finally, the big one for part 3. Interactive communication. And trust me on this is the single most important criterion in part 3. All the strategies we've talked about, taking turns, asking questions, linking your ideas, they all feed directly into this score. The examiners are looking for a genuine conversation, a true team effort. And there you have it, the complete blueprint for absolutely mastering the collaborative task. We've gone from the core idea right down to the specific phrases you need. So the only question left is, which of these strategies are you going to practice first? Because getting started is always the most important step.